All right, well, I want to welcome everyone coming out. This is announcing our 2011 Colorado football class. Very excited about it. One of the things that I wanted to do when I went out to start signing this class, there was a couple things I wanted to get done. One was I wanted to balance the roster. You know, the roster wasn't balanced at certain positions. And then I wanted to find players that could come in and help us, be it at the position we recruited them at, or as special teams. And I wanted guys that could come in and have some versatility and upgrade our speed a little bit. So those are the things I was looking at. Early on in the process, especially with us going to the Pac-12 and being in a situation where California and some of the West Coast recruiting is going to open up for us. We were in a situation with a lot of kids committed that we had to go to where the players were. So we went a little farther than we normally did. A couple of those kids actually recruited us, and very good players that we're excited about, and we were able to get them. And I'm very excited really about not only our class, but the job that our coaches did. As I go through this and I look at it, and I'll talk about it as I go through each player, but there's 8 players that we flipped. So in other words, they were committed to other schools in the conference or other BCS schools, and we were able to convince them and show them what we had and what Colorado's all about, and we're able to get them to want to come and be a part of this program. So I'm very excited about it. So this whole process, it had 3 different parts to it. You know, the first part was I had to recruit and get my staff. You know, there were some guys that I had to make sure that I could get, and that took some work, not necessarily from a calling and begging standpoint, but just making sure certain pieces were in place for them. The next piece of the puzzle was, what did my current roster look like? You know, I said we only had it 13 days, only had 13 days out on the road, and there was a 2-week period where I could have been on the road, but I felt it was important. You know, I saw a couple kids in state, but I felt it was important to spend time around the roster and evaluate it. So I watched every game. I spent time with the kids. I watched how they did things, how they carried themselves, who was showing up for the tutoring and study table sessions, who was doing what in the weight room, even though it was optional. And then I spent a long time really just playing with the roster from the standpoint, as I told you, we needed more balance in the roster. You know, we weren't balanced at some positions, like quarterback. You had 2. They had 2 committed that were freshmen. That's not balancing the roster. Because what happens is those 2 freshmen compete all the way through it, and then when one of them's named the guy, the other one leaves. And if you have 2 freshmen on the roster, you're not going to get a good quarterback next year. And then the year after that, you may miss. So now you have another hole again that you're trying to fill. So I went through by positions after I watched tape on all the guys, seeing who was at those positions, who was maybe playing out of position that could help us. And so I wanted to evaluate all that. And then the last component was, do we have enough guys that can help on special teams? So as I did all that, then what we did is we sat down and we evaluated guys that were interested in the program. We evaluated guys that we thought could help. And the guys that were here, and we ranked every player by position and by best player available. And then I went down the board, and I said, okay, we want to get this guy, and we just started ranking them and targeting the guys we needed to go after. And then the last piece of that was then you had to go by and say who academically fit. You know, you can't bring in guys and lose them and create holes in your roster. And we had some of that happening. So that's what I did in those 2 weeks. I know a lot of people thought, like, well, what is he doing? Why is he out there? And we're not going to get this guy. We're not going to get that guy. You know, Coach Mack had a great saying. It's not the guy you don't get. It's the guy you get who can't play for you. That's what hurts you. So we had to get guys that had a chance to help us, special team-wise or at that position, or guys that we felt like could do it academically and not lose it down the road. Now, are there some guys in here that have some work to do? Yeah. And we understand that, and it's going to be like that every year. But we're okay if it doesn't work out. We're okay at those positions. So that's kind of how the whole process worked. So did it limit me a little bit? Yeah. But when I sit there and if you looked at our board and the guys we targeted, and the guys that we got here on recruiting trips, and we decided, hey, we really want them, I would say off the top of my head, there's probably 6 or 7 guys that we really wanted that we didn't get. So I feel good about that.